Hello, friends. Welcome to episode 258 of the Note Coach podcast, Plateaus. I'm your host, Suzanne Culberg. We all know what it's like to be seeing some sort of return, to be seeing some sort of progress, and then to not. When we've hit that dreaded phase of a plateau. Out of pure interest, I Googled the actual definition of a plateau so that we're all on the same page. It says a state of little or no change following a period of activity or progress. So when we first start working on something, we usually see a result. If you're trying to release weight and you are changing what you eat and how you move, you see a shift in the scale or in how your clothes fit. If you're growing a business and you're putting an offer out there and it starts getting some sales and it's really exciting, and then you reach a plateau, a point where things don't seem to be selling. If you're a active content creator, like you're writing posts or making videos, podcasts like this, and you're getting a bunch of downloads and listens and people chatting, and then you reach the plateau where it's like, is anyone alive out there? Can anyone hear me? Titanic, anyone? It's like you're pouring all this time and energy into something and the needle isn't moving. And that's where we can often start to second guess our strategy. Am I approaching this the right way? Do I need to do something else? If it's you're trying to release weight, do I need to follow a different eating protocol or try a different exercise? If you're trying to build a business, perhaps I need to start a TikTok or get on LinkedIn or, something. And we can often inadvertently flood what we're trying. And you think if we think of it like from an environmental point of view and you have a plane and then you flood it, or if you've got a plant and you over-fertilizing it doesn't make the plant grow faster. Usually it just kills it. So the strength it takes to trust in what you don't yet see, to realize that the plateau is part of the process and that you will move through it, you will move beyond it. A plateau doesn't mean that anything's gone wrong. A plateau doesn't mean that you need to change it up. A plateau is a period of time. And because often we don't know how long this plateau is going to last for, will it be a couple of days, a couple of weeks? Will it be a couple of months? Do we have the wherewithal to stay in the game if we don't see results instantly? And I think, this is something to really consider. When we see people having success, we often ask them, what's the one thing or what's the secret ingredient or whatever. We don't know how many things they've tried before, how long they've stayed in the game for. Like I'm thinking of business as an example. You see some people who start a podcast and look like they have overnight success, but they already have built an audience in another area, or this might not be the first podcast that they've started or something like that. Or somebody who is, releasing weight. We don't know, their genetics, their energy makeup, how much sleep they get, how much stress they're under. So many things contribute to people's results that we don't see. All we see is what we are doing the same thing and not getting the same result. And then we feel this urge to rush to the next thing, or, perhaps that's just me. And then sometimes we can't see the result externally, but things are happening under the surface. Like with, business, for example, if you're creating content and putting it out there, but your sales don't seem to be matching up to your effort, sometimes it can be like you suddenly have a spurt or a hit where lots of people come in. They didn't come in as a result of that one thing you just did. They've been watching you, following you, listening to you, reading you for months, and then the time is right for them to step in. And a lot of them happen at the same time. So then we try and reverse engineer it to do more, but that's not how it works. The results come over time. And the other thing I was looking up as I was thinking about this episode, firstly was the definition of plateaus. The next was about bamboo, because I've heard a lot about bamboo, though I've never read about it personally, that it can take 5 years to grow and that, you don't see anything for the 5 years and then the bamboo shoots up in like 90 days. So I was looking at, and I come across this website called onetreeplanted.org. So shout out to them. They have 8 fascinating facts about bamboo if you want to go and check this out. But they have here, bamboo grows fast, like really, really fast. They're saying 1.5 inches an hour. That's incredible. Now, if you think about, something that's growing underneath the surface first, where the roots grow down before it grows up, you're not going to see that. So if you're building a business, creating content, spreading your roots with the effort that you're putting in as your business goes down, then when the sales come, that's the bamboo above the surface growing at the 1.5 inches an hour. That's what you see, but that's not going to grow up if there's not roots going down first. If you release weight fast, usually you're releasing water and muscle, which are, the things that you actually want to hold on to. The longer time of increasing your muscle mass, and bone density is just great for longevity anyway, but then the fat release doesn't happen in that instantly. So, the more muscle mass that have, the more fat you just burn, like your basal metabolic rate on the day to day. So you taking the actions and doing the movement daily gives you results in the long run. So all of this to say, plateaus are normal. They're to be expected. Pouring in time and energy, like, it's not that they're not frustrating. We all want instant gratification, success. It's working, signs. But are we plateauing, or are we just not seeing the results? Is the stuff happening under the surface that we can't see? And is it that we're not successful, or it's just that we're not successful according to really narrow parameters? Because from a business point of view, if you buy into some of these, 6 figures in 60 days and, just do this and be a 10K earner per month and whatever, and have it and so forth, those parameters are really, 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 really narrow. So you might be like, oh, my business is failing, but you're not actually taking into account that it is growing at a rate. And yes, it may hit a plateau, but it's like, well, I didn't make 6 figures, so it was a failure. But how much did you make? If you were making no dollars and you're now making some dollars, that is progress. It might not be the 6 figures, but is the thing that was sold to you really sustainable? And how many people have been through it and had success? Like, I saw this thing the day, I screenshotted it. It's going to do a whole episode on it. I may end up doing it yet, but it made me laugh so hard. It says, "This is not a scam. DM me if you want to turn your $500 into my $500. And I think that is so true sometimes with some of these things that we're sold. They're just scammy. It's like, I could tell you how to make 6 figures. If I con 10 of you into giving me 10K, hello, I've made 6 figures. So what are the parameters by which you're measuring your success? I've worked with weight release clients before who had a goal of releasing 10 kilos by a certain date, a wedding, Christmas, something like that. I still remember one in particular. She was having to have a knee replacement and she wanted to drop 10 kilos before the knee replacement. She dropped 9.8 and she was like, oh, I failed. It's like, what do you mean you failed? 200 grams you missed the goal by? That's just like a good pee. So seriously, if you feel like you're stuck in a rut and in the plateau story, I really invite you to pause, realize it's normal, happens to all of us, and measure backwards. Where were you when you started? How far have you come? Rather than measuring forward, how far away are you from your goal? And is that finish line really great, or is it arbitrary anyway? If you're going into a surgery and you've increased your fitness and you've dropped 9.8 kilos, would that extra 200 grams have made that much of a difference? Or have you already done so much for yourself and your health by the efforts that you have put in? If you had no business and no idea, and now you have a few people paying you, you know how to put a training together or to run a call and to upload stuff, like, how much have you learned? How much skills have you developed along the way? And when is it the time to keep going, keep planting, keep trusting that it's growing underneath the surface and soon you'll see it come up, as opposed to changing your strategy all the time, new diet, new coach, new program, new thing. I'm just going to get on TikTok. I'm going to get on. Because the thing is, for me, I'm cutting back more and more and more of the social media platforms that I'm on. And my business is still growing, not at the rate that they sell you on those scammy programs, but does anyone's grow that fast? But the thing is, for me, my personal thought is, the more social media platforms on, the more freaking spam I have to deal with. Like legitimate people who potential clients, people who want to connect with me, they will find a way. They'll send me an email, they'll connect through my website, we will connect in some way. Whereas me splitting my energy by going to LinkedIn and Instagram and TikTok and all the places, that's just diluting the precious time and energy I have, which are my resources that, time is the one resource that we don't know how much we're gonna have and we can't get back. So I guard time and energy more than anything else. So all of this to say, if you're in a plateau, first of all, my heart goes out to you. I know how frustrating it can be. Second of all, I want you to realize and remember, because we all know this on some level, but we forget, it's totally normal. Plateaus happen. Thirdly, your bamboo, baby. It's growing beneath the surface at, according to this thing, 1.5 inches an hour. Imagine when it comes back up into the air and you see the results, you'll be like, wait, what? What just happened? Because we see the results we see now as indicative. Oh, I got it right. Indicative. Sometimes I struggle with that word, of all of our future results. But sometimes you reach that tipping point and then suddenly the same amount of effort yields much bigger results once you come out of that plateau. So the way out of the plateau isn't to keep second guessing yourself and keep changing your strategy. It's just to keep turning up, taking that action and trusting it's going to work for you. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm Suzanne Culberg. You can check out my work at my website, suzanneculberg.com. I really encourage you. I know many of you are not yet on my newsletter. My newsletters are fun. I tend to send them out once a week. They are stories and stuff that I don't share anywhere else. I get a bit, you think I get ranty on the podcast? You should read my newsletter. So suzanneculberg.com, click on the resources. It's one of the options there, or maybe it's next to resources. You'll find it. I trust that you're savvy. Thanks for tuning in. I hope to catch you on the next one. Bye for now.